4 years after Sister Wilhelmina's burial, she shocked even her most devout believers. Let's get into it. It was 1924 in St. Louis, Missouri. It was a deeply religious time. You have to think about it. It was 1924, born into a Catholic family, young Mary Elizabeth Lancaster. She quickly found her life surrounded by prayer, devotion, and a love of God. At just 9 years old, Mary experienced something that would set the course for the rest of her life. A moment during her first communion where she claimed to have felt the divine energy of God Himself invite her to be His. It would be this experience that would lead her to make a very bold decision. At the young age of 13, Mary Elizabeth wrote a letter to the Oblate Sisters of Providence. Now, this was a pioneering congregation of Black religious women during the time, and her letter was expressing her desire to become a nun. She was on a path to religious dedication, but little did she know this journey would unfold in ways she could not have ever imagined. While she wasn't able to join at 13, it was too young, she was able to enter the Oblate Sisters at the age of 17. And from that moment on, she was now known as Sister Wilhelmina. And for the next 50 years, she devoted herself to teaching and serving as part of that sisterhood. Along the way, she would face the struggles and prejudice of the segregated society of her time. She did it with grace and humility. Her faith, strengthened by those challenges, would prove pivotal in the years to come. So to say that Sister Wilhelmina's commitment was unshakable would be an understatement. She dedicated decades to the service of others. Her service included teaching at various different Catholic schools where she would pass on her knowledge and faith to generations. But over time, the world began to change around her, and it was changing fast. And so were the practices of the church. Post-Vatican II reforms meant that many of the orders began moving away from wearing the traditional religious habit. And for Sister Wilhelmina, that was a problem. The habit worn by nuns holds deep religious and symbolic significance, representing their vows and dedication to a life of humility, chastity, and obedience. So, as you can imagine, the habit is more than just clothing. It's a visible representation of a nun's spiritual journey and the commitment she has made within her own religious life. Now, deeply committed to the traditions of the church, Sister Wilhelmina fought to preserve the customs that she held so dear. When the order stopped producing habits, she made one for herself, because she was going to wear it no matter what. And she constructed that headdress from a plastic beach bottle. It wasn't just fabric to her, it was a sacred symbol of being a bride of Christ, and she wasn't willing to let that go. Sister Wilhelmina's tenacity would become one of her defining characteristics. She was once asked if she intended to wear that habit forever. Now remember, they weren't even making it anymore. And she responded, "I am Sister Wilhelmina, and I mean it. I'm wearing it forever." In fact, she was so set on preserving the old traditions of the church. At the age of 71, she would make a very bold move. It was 1995. And driven by her tenacity and her vision of preserving the beauty of traditional Catholicism, she founded a new order, the Benedictines of Mary, Queen of Apostles. Now, alongside this new community, she embraced a lifestyle that was devoted to traditional Latin Mass and Gregorian chants. It was nestled in the serene countryside of Gower, Missouri. The sisters there, they lived their daily life in a life of prayer. They sang in devotion, and they supported all of the local priests around the abbey. But little did they know that this peaceful and devout life would soon become the backdrop of a remarkable event. And this would just draw thousands of pilgrims to their very small rural abbey, and it would captivate both believers and skeptics. On May 29th, 2019, Sister Wilhelmina passed away. She was 95. Her passing was mourned by her community, and she was laid to rest in a very simple wooden coffin. She was not embalmed, as is the custom for nuns in her order. So there in the abbey, she laid undisturbed in the abbey cemetery for 4 years. But in 2023, there was a decision that was made that would change everything. Her remains were to be removed from her resting place to inside the abbey. The sisters, following their normal traditions, expected a really solemn and routine process. What they didn't expect was what they would find once the coffin was lifted from the earth. But why? What exactly was inside that coffin? What did the sisters see? What was it that caused the sisters to question everything they knew about life, death, and the divine? It was meant to be a simple transfer. And as the lid of the coffin was gently lifted, the sisters expected to find the usual remains of bones, decayed as time often dictates, and it had been 4 years. But guess what? Instead, they were met with something totally unexpected. There, resting in the coffin, was the body of Sister Wilhelmina, intact, uncorrupted, as though it was untouched by time. Her skin was still soft. Her features were serene. It was like she was just sleeping. The sisters obviously were shocked because this kind of preservation is rare and almost unheard of, especially in someone who was buried for several years. Her wooden coffin definitely was showing the effects of time, but not her. Some called it a miracle. Others were just kind of left in awe of what this mystery was. What they found that day has sparked and continues to spark conversations and debates across religious, scientific, and philosophical communities alike. Was this a divine sign, a miracle in modern times, or was there an actual scientific explanation for what they found? The Abbey soon became a place of pilgrimage as word of the discovery spread. Sister Wilhelmina's body has actually been placed on display in a glass case at the Abbey. Thousands upon thousands of pilgrims have visited the Abbey to witness what they believe is a miracle. Although some skeptics will go to try to uncover what is the science behind why this is happening. The Catholic Church, however, has not made any formal declarations about her case. Bishop James Johnston of the Kansas City Diocese confirmed that medical experts conducted an examination, but they didn't find any natural explanation for the state of her body. They just emphasized that this phenomenon does not automatically qualify her for sainthood. In fact, there are no current plans to initiate a cause for sainthood, as incorruptibility is not in itself considered proof of sanctity within the Church. Now, while the Catholic Church has yet to make a formal declarations, and scientists have yet to fully explain what happened on that day at the Abbey will leave you questioning the boundaries between faith, mystery, and the miraculous. Because whatever the truth, it's clear that Sister Wilhelmina's body defies what we know about science. And it just reminds us that some mysteries are just too profound to be easily explained. Join our community as we continue to uncover more about the unexplained and the miraculous. This is Isabella signing out.